Well, I just spent almost 20 minutes right here in front of this camera doing a Facebook Live, and apparently Facebook wasn't doing live for my Facebook Liveness. So here I am again on Facebook Live. And I'm coming to say to you, number one, sorry that I've been gone for almost 3 weeks. That's very unusual and unlike me. In almost 7 years of doing Leading Leaders podcast live right here, I haven't missed that many days. Yes, I'm checking to make sure because Restream didn't send it last time. I'm going to make sure that, oh, looky there, it is live on Facebook. How awesome is that? Now, the reason that I am coming live to you is to let you know that this little logo that you see on the screen right now, this page, is our liftable subscribe page. Brand new to us is the opportunity to take the content that we produced only for streaming over the last several years, most of it with an iPhone or an iPad, some of it with multi-camera, some of it live stream with multi-camera, but not in the highest quality. In fact, what we reposted on the blog was just the download of whatever went to the stream. Saves time, right? Well, now we've kind of upped our game a little bit. We have the ability to produce what we would call live to tape, meaning we can do the little things like add that image to the screen, or I can do the lower thirds right away and put that on the screen, and it just appears right there and then goes away. And we can do that for ourselves. We can do that for our clients. But what it really means is we can do full HD, fully produced, what we would call in the studio live to tape. So live to tape means every cut, every edit, all the audio, all the graphics are done while the show is being produced rather than being done in the edit room. That gives us a huge advantage for speed to market. It means we can have a conversation today. You and I right here in the studio talk through leadership, talk through story power, talk through transforming grace, and by the end of the day, have it available for the network. And since we've been producing content daily for 6 years plus right now, there's a lot of content out there, but it's not all broadcast quality. We want it to be broadcast quality. So a lot of the stuff that I've done for Leading Leaders podcast, for Transforming Grace, for Story Power TV, we're going to do that again. A lot of that content will be retaught with some fresh ideas and some fresh opportunities, and we can integrate some graphics now and, like I said, drop some things on the screen like questions and annotations and things of that nature, but we can also integrate videos and slides and things of that nature like you would expect from anybody else. Some of that content will replace what's already on the website. Some of the stuff on our website is there for download as a course, so you have to pay for it. Some of that stuff ranges from $59 to $69 for an audio course, up to $500 or $600 for a life-altering course to overcome addiction. But that includes videos and books and downloads and handouts and questions and challenges like you wouldn't believe, all in that one course. It's life-changing stuff, but it's not cheap. So I want you to know that some of that content is going to be reproduced in a broadcast quality so that we can actually make it available for Liftable, which means if you're a subscriber to Liftable, you'll be able to get your hands on it. Some of it will still be exclusive, reproduced, but available only through download as a course. My primary objective of this Facebook video, though, is to say, if you do see that graphic, again, it looks like this. If you see that graphic, which is our page on Liftable, if you go to Liftable TV, you'll see that graphic on the page. That graphic is all about what we're doing. That is the place that you would subscribe. And there's a small, little, minuscule, dust mite size percentage that comes back to us from subscribers that actually helps us to fund all this production. You may not know it, but for the 6+ years that we've been doing this, every episode of Transforming Grace, every episode of Leading Leaders podcast, all of the Servant Leaders series interviews, all of the first responder interviews for the Kingdom First Responders, all of that content has been produced out of our pockets. We don't have a giant budget. We're not a big ministry. We're not a giant corporation. In fact, 90% of our income right now comes from AV events that we do. We have clients where I'll tear down my entire studio, which is why I wasn't here for almost 3 weeks. We'll tear down the entire studio, lights, sound equipment, cameras, everything, go to their set, to their studio, to their location, and do all the recording and all the live stream for them, and I become the producer, director behind the scenes rather than the person in front of the camera. That, along with weddings, festivals, carnivals, outdoor events, kids events, school events, those are the kinds of things that have paid our bills for about 15 years now, since I left corporate America. All of the production stuff, all of the content, all of the writing, unless I'm getting paid to speak somewhere and I just happen to be able to produce content while I'm being paid to speak there, most of what I teach comes out of my own hip pocket. So this little fraction, this little dust mite of percentage of royalty for subscribers is enormous opportunity for us. It's going to take a lot of dust mites, but it's enormous opportunity for us because if we, I don't know, reached 1 million subscribers, that little percentage could actually help cover the costs of some of the production that we do. I would love you to be a part of that as a subscriber, but I need you to click on that page, not just go to Liftable and subscribe to, but specifically to go through one of our pages. Leading Leaders is one of those. Story Power TV is another one of those. And Transforming Grace is another one of those. We would love for you to be subscribers through us because it helps us with those little dust mite percentages. I'm not trying to slight anything about the size of the royalties. That is not my point. My point is, it's not something you're going to make a living on. It's possible, and it does help defray the cost because this is not a cheap process. But it's not going to be like millionaire kind of money anytime in the next decade or so. That's okay. Every little bit helps. Every time I have to replace a microphone for a few $100s or a camera for a few thousand or upgrade to 6K or whatever else the next step is, all of those things cost money and they take some commitment. And we would like, I don't know, a little bit of commitment from you to help with that content. If you're not going to buy the courses off the website, which helps defray the cost. If you're not going to hire us to DJ your event or film your content, then subscribe to Liftable. Cost of a cup of, I don't know, maybe a latte a week kind of a cost for the whole month. For the whole year, it's less than if you took your wife out or your sweetheart out for a nice Valentine's dinner. It really is. I would love for you, though, to step in with us and help be a part of that. Just a little subscription is all I'm asking. But I also want you to know this, too. All of the content that we've shot, I would say probably close to 75 interviews, plus close to 1,000 videos that are anywhere from 5 to 45 minutes long that are leadership teaching. Some of those straight out of the Bible. Some of those are biblically based but corporate minded. Some of those sound completely secular unless you know the Bible well enough to know that that's the driving force behind all of my thoughts and ideas. There's a reason I chose John Maxwell as my mentor, and that's one of them. But I also know, and you probably know this too, if you go to YouTube as an example and you search my name, J. Loren Norris, the chances are my page, my videos will be, I don't know, 2 or 3 pages down. Yeah, how odd is that? When you search my name, I don't come up at the top. Some guy named J. Loren Wentz does. I don't even know who that is, but he tends to get top billing both on Amazon and YouTube, and it's got nothing to do with me. But I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that I mention words like, very offensive words like Bible. And, when you say things like that, people tend to turn you off a little bit. I remember when I started in radio. When I started in radio in 1996, there used to be words that they were the blue letter words. The pink policy would get you thrown off the air if you weren't cautious. And, all of those guys seem to be listening, the FCC and all that back. Now those same words are not just acceptable in common language. You might hear them from a 14-year-old at Whataburger, but chances are you're going to hear them on the radio and on social media. There are videos on social media of people being beaten with an inch of their life. Some of them actually died from what they were afflicted with in that incident, and yet those videos remain. There have been videos on social media of people losing their head to a hatchet, and those videos remain, and they get shared all over the place, but the videos where you mention words like Bible and God and faith and things of that nature, those come down. Hence the reason for Liftable TV. An opportunity for those of us who produce content on a regular basis to have a platform where those who appreciate that kind of content would say, I want to see all of that. I want to see it from beginning to end. I want it to be easy to find. So if you like the faith-based aspects of leading leaders, if you like the fact that most of what I teach comes from the core value of Scripture, Liftable is the place that you're going to want to go. Now, I will still produce stuff that's Facebook friendly, so to speak. It's stuff that I can share an idea, talk about a thought, talk about maybe a current event or something that I've just recently discovered or a new lesson that I've learned, a story that strikes me as funny or educational. I'll still share those things on social media, on YouTube and Twitter and so forth. But I want you to know that there are going to be some of those things that the content is so rich and so solid and so faith-based that it's not going to be acceptable in those platforms. That's not a bad thing. It just means you got to know your audience. And for that content, Liftable is the audience. And I want you to be there. I want you to be on Liftable with us. So please go out and subscribe. Look for that page that Well, once again, it looks like this. If you see that page, then you're on our page, and you can jump in right there and subscribe and be a supporter of what we're doing. I also want you to know, though, that if you in the past have been on Story Power TV, you've been on Transforming Grace TV, you've been on Leading Leaders like the Servant Leader series or the Kingdom First Responders series, and you would like a do-over, so to speak, you would like to be a part of the program that's specifically geared for Liftable TV, we would love to hear from you. If you've been a guest in the past and you kind of know how the whole program works, you got a leg up. You got a great chance to talk about your newest book, your newest opportunity, your newest ideas, your newest discoveries, the newest projects that you're working on. And if you'd like to help sponsor those programs, then we could certainly talk about that too. To be a sponsor, tell people about your book, tell them about your event, tell them about what you're up to, send people to your website. These become binge-watchable, evergreen programming that will be available on Liftable until they run out of space, I guess, to load it. But we will be producing content that will be available, new content, daily for Leading Leaders and weekly for Story Power and Transforming Grace. So we want you to be a part of that. We want you to jump in, be on the screen, be in an interview with us, have a conversation with us. For now, though, what I'd love you to do is share this video, comment on this video. If there are some topics that you'd like me to discuss, like we've done series on Leading Leaders about lessons I wish my father had taught me. We did a whole series on core values. We did a whole series on the 10 keys to leadership development. If there's a series that you're thinking, man, I'd love to hear that again, like we could do this whole book from Live a More Excellent Life, which is a course that was originally written kind of as my own expose on leadership and how my life was transformed by the various incidences and the things that I had to learn. But it's also been used in the Congo. It's been used for high school mentoring. It was a program in a high school of 2,500 students for an entire year. Also, Attitude Hack has been taught at universities and in front of the Congo Parliament. So these are some content pieces that I will be intentionally redoing for Liftable audiences, and also they will be programs that will be on the website for leadership development if people want to check in and buy some of that kind of stuff as well. So if you've got an idea, if you've got a suggestion, or if you would like to be a guest, we would love to talk to you about that. So jump over to Liftable, make sure you subscribe, send me an email, send me a text if you've got my number, send me a Facebook private message or a comment on YouTube, and just let us know what kind of content would you love to see from Leading Leaders, interviews that you would love to see on Transforming Grace, where we talk about broken marriages and how to reveal the hope in them, because my wife and I, after 27 years of marriage, the first 10 I really put her through hell because I came into the marriage with an addiction. We love to chat with people who say, this is what we struggled through and this is how we got past it. And in a faith-based community, that's powerful stuff. We also love to talk to people who have had a rough life, but God transformed their life. That's what Story Power is all about. One of our upcoming projects is to talk with a guy who used to lead a giant church, and then God said to him, go start a revival in the field. And so he bought land on the side of I-35 and started a tent revival meeting, and he's now in like day 65 of these tent revivals. And the audience is just growing and growing and growing. But what he's doing in obedience. We liken it to driving a giant tent peg into the ground. It's not easy. You got to hit it several times, and it's going to take a minute. That's what it takes to grow a revival. It takes the discipline and the persistence and the consistency. We want to be a part of that in your life. We also want you to step up and tell us, hey, these are stories we'd love to hear. One of the projects we have for the future is to go to the Texas-Mexico border and talk to people who maybe are long in the faith, but new to an American experience, who would say, here's what I'm hoping for now that I'm here. Here's what I'd like to find. Here's what I was hoping for when I left home to start all over again, just to get an idea what life is like for the privileges that we have to be an American. Why would people sacrifice life and limb to get that? Well, there's a reason for it, and we'd like to talk about it. But if there's a topic you'd like to see on Leading Leaders, we would love to discuss it for you and with you. What I want you to do is send us some comments, send us some ideas. If you want to sponsor the program, love to talk to you about that, whether it's to promote your own stuff or just to say, I love what you're doing, let me be a part of it. And jump on liftable.tv. That's liftable.tv, liftable.tv, and subscribe. If you can find our page, it does help us. Those little dust mites of royalties help us a lot. So we'd love to have you participate with that. Until I see you again, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for being a part of this Facebook Live. Even if there's only 3 of you, what does it say? 1. There's 1 watching. Thank you, 1. It's probably me, since I'm monitoring it myself. But hey, maybe somebody will share it, and maybe more than one person will see it later. Are you going to be one to share it? Would you do that? I'd appreciate it. Join us on Liftable, where we can talk more openly about content that Facebook probably won't want me to share so much. I'm Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast for Tell It Like It Is TV. Have a blessed day.